Hello and welcome to another episode of Set Musings. So we're up to Shadowmoor now. Wow. Moving along. I hope you're enjoying these as much as I enjoy making them. These are great fun. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this set. We got to the point in this mega block where with Shadowmoor, which was the second of the two mini blocks, if you like, we started to see hybrid mana being leveraged, and as a consequence, what you'll see in this episode is there are a number of mega cycles, and what I mean by that is cycles that appear both in this block and both in this set and the set after it in the block. So Shadowmoor and Eventide, we've got cycles that span them both. Obviously that's why it's a mega cycle, so we'll take a look at those when we get to them. As a consequence, there's so much slicing going on there. I've dialed back a little bit of the slicing of types, so I'm not going to get quite so granular with the creature side of things, because we're going to be covering quite a lot of bases in our exploration of the cycles, so there's no real need for that, or the need is lessened. Before I move on, just like to say a shout out. Thanks to everybody that's checked out the Relaxation podcast on Spotify and Google Play. I can see the amount of listens slowly building up to, so thanks to, shout out to all the listeners in, I think, the US, UK, Portugal and Canada for checking that out. Anybody that's a bit apprehensive about that, not so much checking it out but just knowing, is it going to impact on the stuff I do on the YouTube channel? No. I do that Relaxation podcast on a completely separate day. It's its own thing. So all of these videos that I do for the MTG channel, for the Toxic Music YouTube channel, are basically dependent on what I can get done on Monday. And how it works is I allocate Monday to all my MTG stuff. So the idea is to still try and maintain 3 videos a week, a Set Musings, some sort of Command or Durdle deck building type episode, and then a look at something physical. At the moment I'm on a bit of a Magic the Gathering cards riff, so I'm going to carry on with that for the moment. But you've seen before, occasionally I'll sub in some sort of art related book or something along those lines that may or may not be Magic the Gathering related. But at the moment, Friday's videos, I find this particular mega block super interesting, so I'm going to stick with going through some of the cards in real life so we can check out the real cool artwork and the quite different artwork. As you can see here, just in overview, if we now move on to actually looking at the set, we'll get on with the Set Musings episode. We've got 302 cards in the set. If you look on the MTG Wiki article, which I'll include a link for, you'll see it says 301 cards. I'll explain why there's 302. There's obviously a particular card which is not so much printed twice, but you'll see why that's been flagged up separately. So 121 commons, 80 uncommons, 80 rares, 20 basic lands. Hurrah, so we get to look at basic lands in here. You'll notice that there's quite a change in the artwork. It's quite darker, and thanks to someone who commented on one of the other videos and sort of explained a little bit about the relationship between Lorwyn and Shadowmoor. That was really helpful. And also, if anybody wants to go down that particular rabbit hole, because I'm not going to go into any great detail thematically about the relationship between the sets in the 2 blocks, there's lots of articles at the bottom of the MTG Wiki page, all to do with Shadowmoor and various other things. So I will include, like I said, a link in the description to that MTG wiki article, and then from then you can go down your own set of rabbit holes. Otherwise this would turn into a day-long video probably for this. This is just huge in terms of where you can go with this whole sort of mega block. These 4 sets as a whole. Tribal theme in here. I'll speak a little bit about the tribal aspect, because if you remember before the last two videos I did, I was sort of contrasting between like species related tribal and class related tribal. For this episode I'm going to focus on species, because that was pretty critical in terms of what they did with the colour pie and how it relates to the sort of thematic overarching storyline and the relationship between the sets. But you can definitely see, if you sort of try and compare this with a lot of the artwork in more Lorwyn, you can see obviously in Lorwyn there was darker artwork, but here the artwork is darker still. And as we scroll down, you can just see again we've got, no surprise, we've got the hybrid mana, which I did mention, but we'll be looking at that. There's those spirit avatars as well, part of a mega cycle. And when I go through the types as well, there's some interesting destruction stuff going on and various things like that. Again, let's get you thinks actually. Interesting things with the sort of whatever medium they used in the artwork. And yes, we have scarecrows. Oh, look, yeah, we'll get back. Oh, look at this artwork. Wow. Awesome. Right, so thematically, what do we need to look out for when we're going through here? So we got hybrid mana. Untapping is a thing. I don't know if we've got any here straight away. Yeah, there you go, look. That is the untap symbol. Yeah, untapping. -1/-1 counters. And in terms of keywords, ability words, conspire, persist, and wither. So there is a relationship between wither and the -1/-1 counters. There was a colour shift. It's not easy to see here. When I go through the different species like elves, giants, goblins, kithkin, merfolk, treefolk, you'll see the shift. So, with elves as an example, we went from sort of green-black to green-white, giants, red-white to red-green, goblins, black-red to red-green, kithkin, white-green to white-blue, merfolk, blue-white, I believe, to blue-black, and then treefolk, green, black-white to green-black. But when you see, they did feature other colours in addition to those ones as well. So again, it's not exact. So let's have a look. There's hybrid mana. 116 cards with hybrid mana on them, and lots of interesting ways of doing that hybrid as well. And because a number of these are involved in cycles, I'll save some of that musing about that until we get to the specific cycles. but you can see a lot of hybrid going on in this set across different types as well. So of course, because of that, a lot of these are going to be, effectively multicolored cards. Although you can see the way that they illustrate that, also indicate that, is different than a straight multicolored card. So you could argue hybrid mana is, they treat it as its own thing, and you have this sort of colour bleed, if you like, this morphing from one colour into the other across the frame here. These don't, and that's because they are hybrid with colourless. So untap symbol. So for all of these you can see there is a cost incurred for untapping. 1 and 2 white, untap, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to play. So interesting set of abilities that they've stapled to these. We've even got equipment that gives it something untap. And you can see how that might be abused, or think about how that might be abused. 26 cards with -1/-1 somewhere in the rules text. You can see that the rules text looking pretty busy in this set. But another number of abilities that manipulate or interact or impart -1/-1 counters in some way. So that's the themes. We'll get on to the keywords and abilities in a moment. But another theme in here was this tribal theme. So we've got 11 fairies in the set, spread across. And you can see I said, they were talking about, I was talking about how they colour shifted this between the sets, between the blocks. Of course, again, we've got colours outside of that come in. So I think I mentioned about, blue, black. We got blue, white here. So again, wasn't necessarily exact. And then this one, my understanding is it didn't, in fairies actually, it's a bad example, because fairies, their colours didn't change. So they didn't change. I jumped the gun there a bit. We have cinders, which I think were flamekins. So a number of cinders in black, red. Elves. We've got green, white here. Previously green, black. 17 elves. 10 giants. We've got green creeping in here. Red, white, green. There is still a white giant here. And that I think was originally red, white. Goblins. We've gone from, again, you see green here creeping in. We've got the odd hybrid black one here, red black hybrid, just one of those. Kiskin in white blue, as opposed to, say, what was it, white green. 17 of those. So we had 18 goblins, 17 Kithkin, merfolk, we've got one there still blue white, but you can see moving into blue black. 15 of those. 4 tree folk. I think further in the block we'll see some more black or green black tree folk. At the moment we just see in the 2 of the 3 original colours actually, which I think is green white. 4 of those. I thought I'd just bring up elementals because so far we've seen these. These are across, it looks like, all of the colours. But we'll talk a little bit more about elementals in a moment because we've got some interesting cycles in here. And I'd already mentioned some cinders as well here. Again, some pretty creepy artwork for these, what I call like a pure elemental, where it doesn't have some other subtype. Wow. See again this interesting style of artwork here. Looks like Friday's episode is going to be interesting. Sadly, I don't know if I've got any basic lands for this set, which is a little bit annoying. Okay, so scarecrows, 17 scarecrows. There were 24 elementals. 17 scarecrows, and you can see they're all artifacts. Interestingly, the Reaper King, which is a legendary, has this hybrid mana between Wooburg and mana of any colour. And so this is what's left after you exclude all the things we've seen already. So we've got 24 that don't really fit into any of those tribal categories. So insects, angels, birds, kraken, beast, Ufi, a demon hound, a spirit, imp, dragon, spider, troll, worm, spirit avatar, bird, spirit, shapeshifter. Here we got one shapeshifter. More spirit avatars, horror, and a Nufi. Kitchen Finks. And no tribal cards. So, keywords abilities. We have Conspire. So with Conspire, as you play the spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a colour with it. When you do copy it, you may choose a new target for the copy. And it looks like the Conspire cost is always 2 untapped creatures. So again, with Conspire, you can see here how cards might interact. With Conspire, that's getting you to tap 2 untapped creatures, and we've got other cards which have an untapped symbol on them. $11 of those. Persist. So I mentioned previously, the theme was -1/-1, or one of the themes. And one of the mechanics in the set is with the keyword of persist. So one of the abilities in the set is persist. It's keyworded. When this creature is put into a graveyard of play, if it had no -1/-1 counters on it, return it to play under its owner's control with a -1/-1 counter on it. And there are 14 of those across multiple colours. Then we have Wither. So we've got Persist and we've got Wither. So Wither is dealing damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. So you can obviously see a connection between this and when poison crops up later in sets. But here in this set we have a particular keyworded ability, which is Wither. And again, interesting to see the whole -1/-1 theme in this set. So now on to the cycles. First up we have common mono-coloured creatures that have an activated ability with a hybrid mana in them, and it costs that hybrid mana costs that boost 1 or 2 of its stats. In fact, I see what, so if you're counting these as individual stats, so in some instances it doesn't do power, it doesn't do toughness, and in other instances it doesn't do power. Next up, okay, so each of these uncommon spells gains more power the more basic lands of an appropriate type you control. Cycle one of each colour, so plains, islands, swamps, mountains and forest. Enchantments, and then one enchantment, or enchantment aura to be more specific, and then 4 sorceries. Oh, the cohorts. So they're common creatures and they get +1/+1 as long as you control another creature of its colour. So white, blue, black, red, green. Coloured permanents count creatures. So uncommon creatures that cost 3 and a colour, and they have a power toughness, each equal to the number of permanents of their colour you control. White, blue, black, red, green. Kithkin, fairy, elemental, goblin and elf. Hate enhanced spells, as it refers to these on MTG Wiki. So they're common spells, and they have a greater effect against enemy colours. So for the white one it's black red, for the blue one it's red green, for the black one it is green or white, for the red one we've got white or blue, and for the green one blue or black. Also interesting in a hybrid mana set as well, as to how that pans out. Well, this art looks really cool. It's a pity that these are rare, because it's probably unlikely I've got many of these, if any, because I opened 10 packs of this product about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe not as far back as that, but anyway, don't have a ton of product. So I'll slow roll this. Can you spot what the tie-in here is? If you've watched the videos for the set that contained Hideaway. So these are 7 mana creatures, and they're the awakened form of one of the Hideaway, each one of the Hideaway lands from Lorwyn, and the ability that it mirrors its land form. Wow. Okay, those are cool. I love the artwork on those. Cycle of Initiates. So they're all common. They're 1/1 creatures, and you pay 1 whenever a spell of its colour is cast to gain an effect. And then we go 1 for each colour. Again, if you're looking at the tribal side of things, Kithkin, Merfolk, Elemental, Goblin and Elf. Cycle of Mentors. Each of these uncommon creatures grants an ability to all creatures you control of their colour. White, blue, black, red, green. And yeah, there was a big, although I didn't really mention it as a theme, you'll see a lot of cards in here, a lot of cycles, really caring about what particular colours you're playing in your deck, creatures, that sort of things. There's lots of interesting cards in here as well from an EDH standpoint, that sort of buff certain colours. This is a cycle of mono-coloured Conspire sorceries. They're all at common, and the cycle here is they have art depicting members of races that were new to Shadowmoor or Eventide, apparently. So I'm assuming these were races that weren't featured heavily in the previous block. I'd probably have to, I don't know if I want to go back actually at this point, but I'd probably have to look at that search I did for, everything that wasn't one of the other creature types to see. Because clearly this looks like this might be a goblin, but I don't think it is. Same here. You can see these are spirits here. Oh yeah, these ones. So, monocolour hybrids. So they're monocolour, but they've got hybrid mana because the hybrid colour is 2 or 2 times 3 of any colour of mana. So they can be paid with any 2 mana or with M 3 times over, which makes the actual CMC cost, the conveyed mana cost, to be 6. But of course, if you've got colour available of the particular mana, then the cheapest you can cast these for is 3 white. It does also mean that these cards can be put into, obviously outside of EDH, but could be put in like non-EDH or or in any format where colour identity of a commander or general or whatever isn't a thing. They could be. Now, of course, when that's the case and there's no white mana available at all in the case of Spectral Possession, that means you're going to pay the maximum cost for this, which is 6. But if you're thinking about in a deck where you could have white mana in it, but you've got other colours as well, then potentially you could pay anything for this between a cost of 6 and a cost of 3, depending on how much of the white mana you have available, and same in blue, black, red and green. So yeah, monocolour hybrids. And of course they do a variety of different things based on the colour. So here we've got flying tokens. This one we've got library manipulation. This one we've got tutoring. Interesting. Damage. And then the green one we've got sort of buffing with +4/+4 trample, wither, and like a lure type effect. When this creature attacks, target creature blocks it this turn if able. Yep. Right, moving on. Twilight Shepherd. So rare persist creatures. They're rare creatures with persist, and they have a powerful enters the battlefield ability on them. You can see they're fairly high costed because of that. You all got persist and all got pretty dramatic effect when they enter. Cycle of Reflections. They're rare enchantments and they double something. So the white one's life gain, the blue one is card draw, the black one is life loss. The red one is double strike is damage and combat damage, and then the green one is twice as much mana, so they double everything up of those particular things. Oh yeah, utility lands. So there's a nice cycle of utility lands. Uncommon. Notice they also have the basic land type as well, which means that if in the particular format you're playing you have access to cards that hunt down a specific type of land, then yeah, it's cool. Comes into play tapped, and it can be tapped for 1 mana of its respective colour, in addition to another ability that can only be played if you control 2 or more permanents of a particular colour. Cycle of Wisps. So you'll see there's a cycle here. They've all got draw a card stapled to them in addition to some other ability. Yeah, and they change a colour of or the colour of a it's only creatures until end of turn. One thing I missed, was it back here? Yeah, these you can see. The other thing about this cycle is they're illustrated by a brother and sister team as well. So that was another thing with those reflections. So yeah, wisps. And now we move on to the colour cycled stuff. So we're not at the mega cycled yet, but we've got a number of things to do with 2 colour cycles. So we've got colour aligned scarecrows. Common scarecrow artifact creatures matched with an allied pair of colours, gaining ability if you control a creature of a specific colour. So white and blue, green whites, black red, red green, and then blue black. And you'll see this particular combination of abilities recur on certain other cards. We've got a cycle of uncommon hybrid witches, and they all have an ability on them that requires one each of the two colours that are in the hybrid mana to play. So they've got hybrid mana to cast in the cost, but then they have the ability is a non-hybrid mana combination where there it's colours from the hybrid mana. Cycle of duos, common hybrid creatures, one race and two classes each, and gains a bonus until end of turn whenever you play a spell of one of its colours. So again, it's a white blue, blue black, black red, red green, green white. Hybrid conspire spells, so common spells, they've got conspire on them. And there is another reference to this type of races that were introduced in Lorwyn. Or occur in Lorwyn, should I say, because they've existed before Lorwyn. Unblockable hybrid creatures, common 3/3 with a casting cost of 2 and then 2 hybrid mana. So they're allied colour hybrids. They can't be blocked by creatures, their colours shared enemy colour. So for white blue that will be red, for blue black that will be green, for black red that would be white, for red green that would be blue, and for green white that would be black. The lieges. So now we are on to the mega cycles. So when we do next week's episode, you'll see the rest of these. So these are all allied colours, and then in the following set they were enemy colours. So we've got the allied colour lieges, and again you'll see they repeat this, caring about the two colours. They've all got the same total CMC, but you can see they're different combinations of those allied colours. So they're all one colour of any mana of any colour, and then 3 of the hybrid. But they all have +1/+1, but then an additional ability. So these are stackable. If the creature concerned is both red and green, in the case of this one, black red, blue black, white blue, and then green white down here. And you can see the creature itself, Thistledown Leech has flash, Glenalendra has flying, Shadowmoor Liege has this thing where when it becomes the target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, that player loses 4 life. That's the opponent. Trample for the red green one, and then for the green one, white one, if a spell or ability opponent controls cause you discard Leaf Liege, put it into play instead of putting it into your graveyard. I love the lieges. So demigods, so spirit avatars, they have converted mana cost of 5, and they're made up entirely of hybrid mana symbols. That's the cycle. You can see they have a number of various abilities stapled to them. These auras, so there was a set of demigod auras. So they grant +1/+1 of one of 2 bonuses to a creature if it matches one of its colours, or +2/+2, and both bonuses if it matches both. And you can see how that's done in the wording. So white blue, in addition to the +1/+1s, we've got lifelink and unblockable. What's this? Blue black is draw a card, discard a card. Black red wither and first strike. Red green is double strike and trample. And then green white is indestructible and flying, in addition to the +1/+1 bonuses. This set is so cool. Common hybrid 1-drops. So yeah, single CMC hybrid mana at common. Oh yeah, the filter lands, very interesting. So when they come into play, you can tap them for 1 mana of any colourless mana. Tap them for colourless mana. But you can use them to filter certain colours of mana. So if you have access to white or blue mana, you can then filter that for either double white, white blue or double blue. And of course those are for all the other combinations of allied colours. And of course we'll see the enemy coloured versions of those in the next set. Hybrid 3-drops, made up entirely of hybrid mana, CMC of 3, and they're uncommon. And then we got some hybrid mana modal spells at uncommon, different effects depending on which of the 2 colours we use to play it. So the modality is dictated by the particular colour of mana that you used when you paid for the hybrid. Now, interestingly enough, of course, because the remainder of the spell is mana of any colour, yeah, it's quite possible that you could do both. So you get both modes, which is cool. Oh, finally, basics. Oh, look at that. So, if I was to pick a favourite, I've done this for a while. This one, maybe? In white. Yeah, see, it's for me, it's all the one. I don't know what it is. It must be living close here to a little bit of wilderness land. And it's a bit swampy. So in the winter, you get this really like sort of gnarly dead tree look to a lot of the land there. So it must be that. Yeah. Got to pick all the gnarly trees, I think. Here you're sport for choice. It is funny though how, again with these, like you got certain pieces of artwork where, you know, you could imagine a situation where this and this, yeah, this could be a swamp, this could be swamp artwork. Actually, most of this could be swamp artwork. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe that. It's easy here if I just drew a line down. Actually, yeah, all of the second piece of artwork of the things. You can probably hear me smiling. Yeah, So anything I need to know before I move on to the individual type stuff? Well, we've got Corrupts in the set, Flow of Ideas, Craven Carnes, Last Breath, Meadow Miss Skulk, Reflecting Pool and Torture. They're all reprints. There's a bit of colour shifting going on. Power of Fire was red colour shifted version of Hermetic Study. And then there's a whole list of cards, and you're probably better off just looking at the MTG wiki cards of what are called reflections. So they're cards that were designed to reflect cards printed in Lorwyn or Morningtide, playing up the set's theme as a dark reflection of the world of Lorwyn. So just an example, Boggart Arsonist is a reflection of Boggart Loggers, and Torture is a reflection of Daily Regime, so those sort of things. And there's a whole load of noticeable cards in here that were used in all manner of decks. Kitchen Finks, Murderous Redcap, Painter's Servant, Reflecting Pool, Swans of Brine, Argyle, just to name a few there. Spectral Processions, Smashed to Smithereens. So this is all of the non-basic lands. So we've already seen 10 of these. The 11th one is Reflecting Pool, and we'll come back to Reflecting Pool in a moment, because this is why there is an extra card in the set. When you look at how many cards are supposed to be in the set, and although there's 301 cards, sometimes, and certainly in Scryfall, you see 302 listed as the total. We have 6 legendaries, and the colour combinations are a little bit lopsided, so no cycle. So we've got 2 blue-black, 2 red-green, a green-white, and then a Wooburg with this weird hybrid Wooburg colourless mana. Or mana of any colour. Yeah, but this is obviously our Scarecrow commander. And obviously you can see links back to the earlier block, the previous mini block. Okay, 157 creatures. So 157 out of 301. We've got 19 enchantments, just straight enchantments. Some of these are hybrids, and some you would have seen already. Because there was cycle of enchantments. And we got 17 auras here. And here, probably more the case when we're talking about cycles. Presence of Gond in the set as well. I'm just looking at this now because, Elemental Mastery. I'm just seeing how many there are with this sort of tap the creature. If there's anything interesting going on there. I've cut back on the different subtypes. I normally look back here as well because there were just so many cycles. So we've got 6 artifacts. No particular cycle here. interesting card draw here. So again, sometimes it's interesting to look at the utility in some of these sets in terms of artifact utility, because of course they, are playable in any deck, regardless of colour, providing they don't have some, weird hybrid activation cost. I'm just looking to see, with the untapped stuff going on, whether there was anything that was playing to that here. I don't necessarily see that. Here's our artifact creatures. So there was a lot more artifact creatures in this set because of the presence of scarecrows. And all of the artifact creatures in here were scarecrows, including this fella. Just 2 pieces of equipment. So Blight Sickle, equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has Wither, equipped for 2, and Umbral Mantle, equipped creature has 3 untapped. This creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, equipped 0. So I'm sure there's some untap shenanigans that can be leveraged with cards from this set if one goes looking. So 32 instants that do a number of different things, and of course quite a large number of those are hybrid instants, of which a few we've seen already in cycles. We've got 37 sorceries. Again, you can see as part of this we've got those interesting hybrid with mana of any colour there. It's a bounce spell, it's a bounce spell on that one. Incremental Blight. Okay, so I just looked at specific effects within instants or sorceries that may be of interest. So again, I always tend to look for destruction spells. So you've got some conditional stuff here at instant speed. We've got our sort of our mass removal for non-white creatures in the form of mass calcify. Ways of getting rid of auras and enchantment, all of them. Here's our black removal. We get an additional effect if it was a green or white spell card. Sorry, green or white creature. Smash to smithereens, artifacts, and also 3 damage to artifacts controller. This is interesting. Random destruction between 3 target non-enchantment permanents. It's pretty unique. I don't think that's something I don't remember seeing before. Green, no surprise to see some way of getting rid of artifacts or enchantments. Way of dealing with flying creatures. Also put a 1/2 green spider creature token with flying reach into play. If again conditionally, there's a lot of these conditions on certain colours, you'll notice. There's Poison the Well, so destroy target land, deals 2 damage to that land's controller. I think I looked at this cover in that episode on what's No Hand No Land toolkit way back. Fracturing Gusts, another way of dealing with artifacts, enchantments. Mass removal there. Gain 2 life for each permanent destroyed this way. So interesting the way they're sort of stapling things together in the set. Direct damage. We've got quite a few spells that sort of riff on that theme. So we've got Corrupt, where we're getting sort of damage swap where you're doing damage equal to the number of swamps you control to a target creature or player, but then you're gaining life. There's also another one in black where, again, this life exchange, but there's an additional cost there, and it's like conditional as well on the creature's power. So lots of interesting conditions and sub-conditions and various other stuff. There's our 3 damage spell in red with Conspire. There's our sort of mass 1 damage, but only against white and or blue creatures. Here's our 4 damage spell. This is our X damage spell, but where X is conditioned on the number of mountains you control as you play Jaw of Stone. So it's actually 6 to cast. And you can divide it up. Another 1 damage spell here, but this is just targeted, and it's also got -1/-1 counter thing. Yeah, we mentioned Smash to Smithereens, so destroying artifacts, destroying land, tapping target untapped creature. It deals damage equal to its power to its controller. And then another 3 damage spell, but the hybrid version. And so you've got these extra things coming online here. Without flying, if red was spent to play fast spell, and 3 damage to each creature with flying if green was spent to play it. Counter spells. Interesting one in green here. Counters target blue instant spell. The rest are in blue. And yeah. Counter bore, so we get to counter a target spell, and then we search through the controller's graveyard, hand and library for all cards with the same name as that spell, and then remove them from the game. Put away, counter target spell, you may shuffle up to 1 target card from your graveyard into your library, and then spell siphon, 1 in a blue, counter target spell, and this controller plays 1 for each blue permanent you control. So again, these interesting conditions going on. Card draw, because of the presence of a number of cards that had a cantrip stapled to them. Obviously we've got a lot more card draw type spells in here. Beyond those cards, so the wisps are the ones which they all have draw a card on them. We've got Flow of Ideas, which is conditional on islands you control. And then we've got the sort of draw 2, discard 2 type spell in the form of Ghastly Discovery. There's another couple of those. Oh, there's the rest of the cantrip spells. Dream Salvage is tied to discard. Number of cards just target opponent discarded this turn. Skullscale Ritual, we get to draw 2 cards. But we have to put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. And then Manamorphose is another one where they've stapled cantrip to it. That was in red and green, so it wasn't part of that monocolour cycle. And additionally, you add 2 mana of any combination of colours to your mana pool. So back to the set as a whole. So 302 cards. So, most expensive card in the set, and this is where we get to find out why there are it's often listed as 302 cards in the set. You don't see anything about, and it's a bit easier to see actually if I switch over temporarily to the EDH ranking. So, we've actually got 2 versions of Reflecting Pool. There's this weird foil version where it has the white mana symbol on it. It does the same thing. So add to your mana pool 1 mana of any type that a land you control could produce. So that's why you'll see sometimes 302 cards instead of 301 because there's two versions, if you like, a reflecting pool that have beyond the foiling have a physical difference on the card itself. So we just go back here. So I'm just going to scroll through this. Let me just maybe make this a little bit smaller. There we go. I made these pretty large this time around. So yeah, you can see here, look, there's a $101.99 version of this card because of this particular printing. 4 reflecting pools in Shadowmoor had an extraneous white mana symbol in the texture behind the text. I didn't know that till I started doing this set Musings. The regular card is $31, so it doesn't put it above other cards, and we'll probably see it in a moment again. So we've got Painter's Servant, which is $66. It's only ever been reprinted as an invention in Kaladesh. Greater Romancy, $64, was a Judge gift card. Mystic Gate, which is that white-blue filter land, did crop up in Double Masters, but it's still $35 in Shadowmoor. Reflecting Pool, so this is the regular one, and this is actually a reprint from Tempest, if you remember. So yep, $31.75 here. It was reprinted in Conspiracy. Polluted Bonds, $30. Wheel of Sun and Moon, $24. Some of these hybrid mana ones we might find that they're on the more pricey side, but we'll see. Prismatic Omen, lands you control at every basic land type in addition to their other types. Sunken Ruins, another filter land, $19. Save for the Moment, $16. So we're coming down a little bit. Dire and Undercurrents, another one of these enchantments that cares about the colour of creatures that are coming into play. We're down to 11 now, yeah. Mana Reflection, 11. Another filter land. You can see this one was from Future Sight. It was printed originally in Future Sight. Not all of them were. So obviously you could see that was an echo here when it was in Future Sight of things to come. So we've gone to below the $10 here. Fracturing Gust. I was curious as to what point the liege is. Start to kick in, so we're below 10 here. Yeah, so yeah, okay. So I always thought they were a little bit more expensive than that, but the most expensive one is $7.58, and that's the red green one. Was that ever reprinted? No. Be interesting to see the prices when we get to the enemy colour ones. EDH, well. Looks like, yeah, mainly the lands. We do have a Firehaven Elf that's fairly far up the list because it's tutoring for basic land cards. And we got the filter lands. Umbral Mantle, Mana Reflection, Vexing Slusher, Beseech the Queen, Sig. So what's our first legendary is Sig, I think. Got yep. Let's calcify. Oh, it costs Blowfly Infestation. can't remember if that's in that deck I built that time. I can't see it from here. Hold on. I'm trying to remember the name of the commander. Deathkeeper deck. I was playing around with Blowfly Infestation at one iteration of it, I think. Okay, so that's the set musings done with. In terms of just I always like to quickly look at the theme decks so you can get a feel here. So Army of Entropy is a black-red theme deck focusing on -1/-1 counters. Oh, here we go. Shadowmoor Liege, Dinner of the Firehand, Aura Mastery, focusing on auras, because you could obviously see by the sorts of cycles we're seeing that was clearly a thing. Thistledown Liege and Twilight Shepherd, and I'm assuming this interacts nicely with Steel of the Godhead. Blue-black, another -1/-1 counter. So is that the second one? Yeah. So another -1/-1 counter deck. Grim Poppet and River Kelpie. And then we've got a red-green good old aggro theme deck with Mossbridge Troll and Prismatic Omen. And then there's a fifth deck, Turnabout. So green-white, untap and creature tokens theme. There is a presence of the Gond in here. And a Shield of the Older Soul. So yeah, I was going to expect there's some sort of green-white in here, which is Risk the Redeemed, and a Wiltliff Liege. So yeah, some interesting red-white buffing going on there as well. Yeah, we've got tapping and untapping stuff. Cool. So in terms of Wednesday's episode, what have we got? Well, in my card pool of 12 virtual boosters, we have an Una, Queen of the Fae, and I think I might have this in paper as well somewhere. Probably it was in Modern Masters, I believe, the first Modern Masters. See if I can dig that out. That'll be a nice card to look at for Friday's episode, actually. You can see this can be some nice cards when we get to the physical Friday episode where we're looking at some artwork. So there's tons of choices in here, and I've got, even though I only opened, what did I say, 10 packs of 10 boosters. A number of these cards have been reprinted. I might even have copies of some of these as well. Some of these auras, because I think I got hold of some, because they were at Comet, I think I got hold of some play sets of those for some reasons back in the day. And some of these as well. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. So we're going to build basically a blue back, or we're going to let Architect guide us down this. Who knows where we'll end up. But yeah, it's something to look forward to. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed that. That was interesting seeing a real large set where there's just such dramatic things thematically going on here. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will see you in the next episode.